Hello everybody. I am here with the first sunshine that we have seen in weeks and a stack of books and my Kindle because I don't know what I'm gonna read next. I said in a reading vlog, I think the one where I was forcing myself out of a reading slump, that I could just force myself to read for a couple of hours every day or a certain number of pages. And my mood reading that I just did, I read 3 books and they were all 3 stars or 2.5 stars. So I would like to find better books than that. I want to read. So I'm setting myself the challenge of reading 100 pages every day for 7 days because I'm just feeling demotivated by the books that I'm reading. I want to have fun. I want to love what I'm reading. So I'm going to try to do that. These include books on my March TBR and books that I want to read even though they're not on my March TBR and my Kindle. I'm not going to limit myself to 100 pages every day. Obviously, if I want to read more than that, I can. But I think that will average me about 2 hours of reading. I don't think I have any plans at all to leave the house if I don't want to. So this is great timing for me. So I'm not sure what I'm going to choose first. This is a lot of blue, isn't it? I have Fracture Me, the second part of this novella, The Murder on the Links, and The Last Murder at the End of the World on my March TBR. So these 3 I should hopefully read anyway, whether it's for this or not. I should finish these 3 books this month. The Last Murder at the End of the World, especially because this was on my February TBR as well and I didn't get to it. And I keep saying I want to read it and then I'm never picking it up. So maybe I should start there. We'll see. Then I have Heated Rivalry because I just read Game Changers, I don't know, a week or 2 ago, and I really enjoyed it, but I think I'm gonna like this a whole lot better. That was a 3-star for me. I did like the book. I had fun with it. I enjoyed reading it. And I bought The Atlas Paradox pretty much right after I finished The Atlas 6 because it left on such a huge cliffhanger, which I haven't encountered recently, so I feel like this is maybe something that I should read. You know what else I should grab that should be on my radar right now? One sec. I should read House of Flame and Shadow. I didn't love the second book, but I liked it. And again, it ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger that made me want to buy this book right after I finished it. And I just haven't read it yet because, but the next 2 ACOTAR books are coming out so soon. And there is some interconnectedness there. So I think it'd be good to read them in release order. So maybe I should add this to my radar right now. I could just read this. It has 800 pages. I could just read 100 pages of this every day and that would be the video, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not sure what I'm going to choose yet. Let me just observe my pile. Okay, I think we're going to start with The Last Murder at the End of the World. I think this is where we're going to start. Just because it's been on here twice, I could totally go for a mystery. It has a nice map-ish on it. Anyway, we're going to start here. Oh, this is very bright yellow. Sorry, I'm keeping this off, but now you know what I'm reading when I hold up this bright yellow book. It is 2:30. I'm going to make myself a decaf latte. I have the best cookies, cranberry lemon cookies from Western Family, and I'm gonna sit down with a book. I bought this one. I'm just seeing the HomeSense price tag is still on it because it was $10. Sorry for the jump scare. It is day 1 of challenging myself to read 100 pages a day, and this has me up until 11:18 p.m. You can see it. We went to IKEA tonight, which is an hour away, and we were there until it closed at 9 and then came home. I think I got to 40 pages this afternoon and now just read the rest. It is 22 chapters in 100 pages, which is kind of crazy, but these last few, like some shit just went down and they're all 1 or 2 pages each, which is kind of fun. I'm actually sad that I want to go to bed because it's getting really good. This book is so strange. Like, it's addictively strange. It's so weird. It's like dystopian sci-fi, kind of, I guess is what I would classify it as. The beginning is very The Giver, which is one of my favorite series, so I'm not mad about it. Just like isolated village and talking about how everybody has their specialty jobs and they're given children. People don't birth children in this world, on this island. They die at a certain age, and on someone's death day, a new child is brought to someone who applied to be a parent. And everybody has this being in their head, and it's shared by everybody. I forget her name. Abby or something? Abby. Which is very interesting because this being, Abby, is the narrator of this book as well. Everything's from her perspective, and we don't know too much about her yet, but it's super interesting. It's so weird. I'm slowly learning things every few pages that are keeping me on my toes and keeping me interested. I think this book doesn't have great reviews. I don't love to read them before I start reading a book because I don't want to go in with any bias. I did just quickly scroll. I regretted it because the first ones I saw were like all 2 and 3 stars, but this is giving me higher star rating vibes than that. I also think that the writing is kind of exceptional. There's a few sentences that are phrased in a very interesting way. The language used, I think, is not something that you see every day in books, but I really, really like it. And instantly in this book, from the beginning, you are given all these different relationship dynamics, and a lot of them are between parents and children of all ages, varying from the youngest to the oldest they can be. And there are elders in this village who are almost 200 years old. We just got to the first deaths. I'm not sure if there will be more or not. There's a lot of secrecy. This Abby character doesn't share anybody's personal thoughts with other people and is keeping secrets the most compared to anybody else. So it's very interesting, and I'm kind of sad that I'm sleepy and want to go to bed. I see myself maybe finishing this book tomorrow, seeing as it's Saturday and that is my sleep-in day. So hopefully when I wake up, I'll pick this up. I don't have a bookmark, so I'm gonna use the sleeve. I will let you know my thoughts tomorrow. I think I'm just going to update every day with how many pages I chose to read that day. I literally just read 100 pages. The next chapter is page 101. So I'm going to leave it at 100 for today, but success and happy to do it. I think this is good because when I stopped at 40 pages, I didn't want to keep going. I was a little bit bored of it, but I think it's good to force yourself to read 100 pages when you start a book so that you do get into it. That's kind of the point when you should know, hopefully, in most books, whether or not it's going to grip you or not. So it is. It is time for a book update, and Rivi really wanted to be here for it. So she is. Yeah, you're right here, front and center. I am thoroughly enjoying this book, The Last Murder at the End of the World. I'm obsessed. I don't know yet if I'm going to finish it. I have officially, as of 5:30 p.m. read 163 pages so far today, so I'm way over my goal, which is good, and there's probably about 100 pages left. So I'm thinking I'm gonna finish it, but we'll see, because it is date night. So right after this, I'm just gonna clean myself up, and then we're gonna go out for dinner and have a movie night, so we'll see. It is so good. I'm actually so surprised by the negative reviews, if I'm being honest. I know reading is subjective, but I just feel like more people would like this. It's very intriguing. There are things being given to us in snippets every few pages. It's really started as like this dystopian village. I think if I had to compare it to anything, it would be a Stargate episode. It's as if the Stargate team landed on this planet and these people were kind of acting brainwashed, and they had to get to the bottom of it and figure out what was going on, and like someone was murdered and it's like they're solving it. And this murder mystery is interesting because it's adding this whodunit vibe to the book that I didn't think would be that much there. I'm really enjoying it. I took a nap on the couch a few hours ago and I woke up with a theory, and I haven't learned yet if that theory is true, but I was like waking up in my grogginess, getting licked in the face by Rivi, just thinking, oh my goodness, I think it's gonna go this way, which tells me it's a good book, that I am sleeping thinking about it, obviously. So because it's a mystery and there are these reveals constantly, I can't really say too much other than talking about the vibes. The relationship building is still really good, and the personalization of all of the different characters and all of their different personalities, the uniqueness of them is so good. Maybe it's just because I've read mediocre books lately, so I'm still not thinking it's more than like a 4-star. I think I'm sitting at 4 right now, and I'm gonna keep reading it until we have to leave in about 20 minutes. So that's where you'll find me. But I just thought I should do a quick update before I get to the end and learn more things, because so far the things that I've learned, I'm believing them and I'm taking them at face value, and I'm wondering if they're also a lie. I'm not sure. Hello all. I have realized the problem with this format that I've chosen is we're on day 3, and I've decided to put my page count at the end of every day, which means I'm not looking my freshest in any of these clips, but that's okay. It's fine. I'm very tired. It's almost 10 p.m. I finished the last Murder at the End of the World this morning. I didn't read more last night, so we watched a movie, went to bed, but I finished this morning, and I gave it 4.5 stars. I loved this book. I think it's so good. Just throughout this book, human nature and pride continues to come to the forefront. Rage, I think, is another common emotion in this book. If people just work together, that would have the best case scenario, and they just can't do it because it's not in their nature. And I think it's a very interesting study just of that in general. Desire for a utopia becomes a thing that specific people want at any cost, and then thinking that they know best because of that. So achieving this perfect world through this hunger for power kind of becomes a catch-22. And I think it's just a super interesting idea. Like, specifically, I'm thinking of President Coin in the Hunger Games series. I do always feel the need to compare things to other things, like President Coin. And if you've ever played Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Abby reminds me of Tech in that game. Just like how he talks to Princess Peach is kind of this Abby idea, like trying to hint towards things and nudge them towards things to get onto the right wavelength. It's very interesting. Such an interesting concept, and I still seriously think it's like you're on the Stargate team and you're put in this world with these people and you have to figure out what the hell is going on. It's a very good book. I loved this book. There is one thing near the end that I thought was maybe a bit of a plot hole, but I'm wondering if it was an Abby misdirection on purpose. I'm not sure. I'm choosing to see it as that because otherwise I'm confused. Maybe I have to look it up, but I don't know if I care enough to, because it probably is just a misdirect thing. So in the end, I gave The Last Murder at the End of the World 4.5 stars, and I absolutely loved it, and I'm really happy that I started with this book. I feel like it's branded as a mystery, but I'm still gonna say sci-fi. To me, this is a sci-fi book, hands down. And then I started The Atlas Paradox. I only needed to read 20 pages to get to my 100 pages for today, and I got up to 36, so that's good. It was really easy to hit 20 pages because this is what the first chapter looks like, or the second chapter. This is the first chapter. It's just like a paragraph and then some title pages, so it was really easy to get there. And then I read a little bit more, and then I took another nap. I've been napping every day. I napped for an hour and a half, so it's almost 10 p.m. My alarm goes off at 5:30. I'm not feeling that tired. My watch, because of my nap, thinks I only need 7.5 hours, which would be now. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep reading, I think, until I decide to go to sleep. So I read the first book, The Atlas 6, last month in my Getting Out of a Book Slump video, and I really enjoyed the last 100 pages, and it ended on such a cliffhanger, so I'm really excited to be reading this. And right off the bat, you're starting from a perspective of someone who is a very much side character in the first book, like barely in it, and only in relation to one of the main characters in the first book. And then it's their perspective with the first chapter, which I thought was super interesting. So these initiates have been chosen. They are entering year 2 of the Alexandria Library situation. Maybe some backstory on the first book. 6 people are chosen to join this team, and in the end only 5 will be able to go through and be the, what do they even call them? Like the Alexandrian Library, Alexandrian Society, I guess is what they are. Shit goes down constantly and you're watching them mostly interact with each other, not really learn. It's another book that's very much about human nature, which is why I find it so interesting. Like I said, a lot of stuff happens. It ends on a huge cliffhanger. So now we have the 5 that got through, and we're seeing them in year 2. They have more of the library that they have access to, because in the first year they only had access to certain things, and now they have access to a lot more of it, and they have to write a thesis or something. Right now they're going through a bit of a initiation trial thing. It's not considered a trial because they've already gone through, so they're actually questioning what the purpose of this is. After year 2 is when they actually get to go out into the world and feel the power that they will get from being chosen for this society. There are still a few things about people's magic that we don't know, and we are on the second person's trial. So they're sitting in a circle. The problem is I can't really say anyone's names. I don't want to ruin who the one not chosen was, but they're sitting in a circle in this room and they're each going through the trial, and it's on another plane, but they can all watch it. So when someone did it, the person next to them's perspective was watching them do it, and now the person next to them is watching them do it. It's very interesting that it's not in their head. We're in someone's POV who's watching it happen. I don't know if that makes sense, but a lot of stuff happened in the first book that now we are privy to some information that the main characters are not privy to. I'm curious to see who figures out what. I'm glad that I read it really recently. I feel like I don't do that with series a lot. Honestly, I read a book and then I decide to move on to something else for a few months. So I'm glad that I picked this up. I think it's been almost exactly a month later. Don't think I will be as easily blindsided by things because it's right here in my noggin. There is a third book. It is a trilogy, so we'll see how this ends. And if I decide that I have to pick up the next one pretty quick, I'm not sure. But today I have officially so far read 116 pages, and I'm gonna read a little bit more. I'll put the total on the screen somewhere of what my final page count is for today. That's my little update. I'm gonna probably just read one more chapter. It's Monday. It's 6:30 p.m. and I do not want to read. So I guess I'm gonna force myself today. I don't think I would read if I was not doing this video, but I need to read at least 100 pages, which I can do easily before bed. I think part of the reason I don't want to read is because I just have to get deeper into this book. I'm starting off a little bit confused because it's classic where it's not answering the questions that I had about the cliffhanger yet at all. There's like hardly any mention of it, which is so annoying. It's a month later, that's all I know, and there has been no headway, really, that we can tell. Sorry about them. They're very cute right now, though. Anyway, I'm gonna force myself to read. I just had dinner. This is the first day in a few days that I haven't had a nap. Maybe that's why I'm extra tired. I'm not sure. I'm home alone tonight though, so I'm gonna just get into it. I don't think there's anything else on my list to do before bed, so I could legitimately just read until I go to bed, which is probably what I should do for my mental health, because the internet has actually been a really shitty place today. I'm like not even opening comments. I love comments, and now I'm seeing things and I'm like, I can't open these comments because I just know that they're all gonna be racist or sexist or annoying, and I just can't handle that. So I'm gonna stay off the internet. I'm gonna keep my headphones in. I'm gonna put on my fantasy lo-fi playlist that I downloaded a couple of months ago already that I keep listening to. And I'm gonna dig in. I should grab my highlighter because this is very quotable already. I needed to read to page 144 to do my 100 pages, and I read to page 145. Very unlike me, I'm in the middle of a chapter, but I'm so tired I need to go to sleep. 100 pages took a long time. It's almost 10 p.m. So I mean, I got ready for bed, hung out with my dogs, scrolled a little bit. I also need to remember that for tomorrow when I keep reading this book, that the pages, like it's a tall book. They're long pages. I'm really enjoying it still. I think that it's a lot better than the first one because the setup is done and the characters that maybe didn't get along very well in the first book are having these unlikely friendships in this book just because of the way things go, and they're all kind of discussing if life is random or if it's predetermined or if it's something else in the scope of those things. It's really interesting. And again, I don't need to know which characters are here and what happened with the 6th member in the first book. So I think that's kind of all I can say. I will add that there is some timeline jumping around going on because it goes from character to character in different POVs. Sometimes they're happening simultaneously a few chapters later, and I don't love that. It's just kind of skipping some stuff, doing it as a retelling in conversations instead of having us experience it with them. And I think I'd always prefer to experience it with them than go back to conversations. And the same as the first book, there's a bit of scientific talk that I, at this late hour, am trying my hardest not to skim over. I am enjoying it though. The characterization is great. I love the continuation of the characters and the development that we're seeing in some of them from the first book. So really enjoying it, hoping to get a lot of reading done tomorrow. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's day 4 done. Wow, it goes so fast, doesn't it? 3 more days. I need to go to sleep now. It is still taking me a long time to get through 100 pages, and I know I said that I would update in the evening. I was so tired, it was 10 p.m. again. I went to bed, so it's the next morning, but I read 60 minus 46? 14. I read 114 pages yesterday. So I think in my last update I said that unlikely people are becoming friends, but that also means that the friends from the first book are kind of not friends anymore, which is a little bit sad in one case, actually. The rest of them, maybe I'm okay with it. It's just because everyone's so insecure. They're all so insecure. Yeah, it's just sad. Like, they're losing their friendships because of these insecurities, but also because there's more mistrust coming back. Weird and gossipy and dramatic. It fits the story, but it is a little bit sad. It's interesting because the book as a whole, in the bigger picture, is like a 1v1 with these two societies, I guess you could say, or these people in these societies, and I don't think either side is right. So I'm hoping for like a third secret option to appear, but I'm not sure if it will. And because it's a trilogy and there is some misuse of people's powers coming into play by the people that are supposed to be their mentors, I'm thinking it might get worse before it gets better, and that makes me nervous because there's a character I really like who I think is going to be the one that loses out because of that, and maybe in the third book, they'll have to be pulled back into the fold by the other people. Like, I hope they come together, but I'm not sure if that's gonna happen. So that's my current update. Okay, I got everything important done, and now I am cutting out of work like 40 minutes early. 1, because I'm hungry. I need a snack so bad. But 2, I just gotta keep reading. I love this feeling. It's all I want to do. I did everything important, I promise. Definitely gonna hopefully finish this. If it's pouring rain, Zach said he'll just walk the dogs by himself again, because there's no point in both of us being miserable, and I said thank you. But if it stops raining, which it is hosing right now, but if it stops, I will be going with him and cooking dinner tonight, but that won't take long, and mostly it's just gonna sit in the oven because I'm making nachos. So I think I can easily finish this today. We'll definitely end up at more than 100 pages at that rate, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm gonna have a decaf latte and a handful of mini eggs, I think, but I'm kind of like actually hungry. I'm gonna finish this and then I will check in with you when I'm done. I'm not gonna get B-roll of me reading on my couch again. I have enough of that, at least with this book, but it's getting so good. It's so good. Okay, I've just been sitting here reading, and as I'm doing it, taking notes on my phone, and didn't realize how many things I had texted myself. So I feel like I need to talk about it before I get to the end. I think I have like 60-ish pages left. Let's just discuss before things change, because I do think that things might change. I just have, I guess, a discussion about the writing first. There's something that is happening constantly and it's really bothering me, and I don't think the first book did it as often. So you start a chapter and then you're in a conversation with people, with like the POV of the character in that chapter and someone else, and then it'll suddenly be like, in the months or weeks since that conversation, so and so has been thinking about it endlessly. So it's really flipping through time in a way that I'm not enjoying. It just kind of pulls me out of the story every time that happens. And then it also is doing a lot where people will be having a conversation, two people, and then something said will make the person in this POV have like a flashback in their mind of something that they talked about with someone weeks or months ago. And then the person they're talking to live is like, are you still with me? Like, where did your mind go? That has happened a few times and it's so weird and I don't like it. So that's just a writing style choice that I don't prefer. But other than that, the writing is still really good. I'm still highlighting lots. It is good writing. And there's also another little plot hole that might not be a plot hole, but I think it is, but I don't want to Google it because the third book's already out. I don't want to ruin anything for myself. But there are two characters who meet through magical means, but they also text each other. And there are other characters who make phone calls in these books, but they never call each other. So they're like, oh, it's been months and I haven't seen them, and we should really talk, but I don't know if there's any update. Pick up your dang phone and call each other. I don't really get why they can't, but I don't want to look it up. I could be wrong there. Maybe I'm missing something. And then the third thing that's kind of about the writing is halfway through the first book, we learned that medians, which is what all of these characters are, and witches are different. And that is kind of all that was said, and then it was forgotten. And now 3/4 of the way through this book, we finally learn the difference in like a sentence, and then it moves on again. I really would like a description of witches and why they're seen as different from medians, because right now, as I understand it, it's education based. Medians are traditionally educated and witches aren't. But that doesn't seem like a good enough difference to me. So I would like a better explanation, and I wanted it a book and a half ago. Now to characters. I'm remembering the things that I thought about certain characters in the first book and bringing them into this book immediately, because I'm specifically thinking of the things that I thought and said about Atlas in the first book. You know he's still here because the book is named after him. But the things that I thought and said about his character and who he was on the inside and what people were seeing in him sometimes are now like really coming out, and I'm not sure if it's intentional on his part or if he's just kind of slipping and going into like a bit of mania or something. I'm not sure. It's a very interesting string that's woven through this book. It's just kind of there sometimes because it's nothing is from his perspective, but it's how other people and characters in this book interact with him, and a bit of mental health talk is coming in with that, and it is quite interesting. And then just as a whole, everyone seems to be beating around the bush with themselves and with other people. And now how I had just said at my last update that there were two characters who used to be close and now aren't, and I'm like, what the heck? I now understand, because I also have beef with one of those characters, and the beating around the bush and the not being straightforward with their feelings and being communicative and just being like, they should understand why I feel the way I feel is really bothering me. But I think it's important that it's happening that way, and I think it's going to kind of pull the story in the direction that it needs to go, so it makes sense. But I have beef with them. I'm concerned about what's going to happen because of this, because of their feelings and their insecurities. Honestly, like I said earlier, everyone's just so insecure. And then just still the science stuff. They're talking a lot about fusion versus fission and like dimensions. I'm gonna be so honest with you, I took the easiest science in high school over a decade ago, and I didn't do well at that. I did poorly at the easiest science offered. So this stuff is just like whoosh, in one ear, out the other. I trust that the author knows what she's talking about, and it makes sense because I don't get it. I would never be here. I would never be brought into any of these societies because I just don't understand how scientific it's getting. But I trust that it's going right. Anyway, I think that's my whole update. Now, officially, you won't see me until I'm done because I am going to sit here, hopefully until it's done. Lots of thoughts. Lots of thoughts. I haven't even thought about a rating. I have no idea what I would rate this book, so I don't know if I'll know that tonight yet or not. Better than the first one. I think I might be sitting at a 4. I'm gonna say I'm sitting at a 4. We'll see how the end goes, because if the first one ended on the cliffhanger it did, I'm sure this one will as well. Ugh, which makes me so angry because I hope it's not a similar cliffhanger, because at this point, with how we're going, it could be. Okay, I'm done. This book is so good. I still have so many questions. Less of a cliffhanger than the first one, so that's good, though I do still want to get to it soon, to be at the end of the series. At the end, there were just multiple characters seeming like they're falling into madness. This idea that their rage at other people and at the world might not be enough. There was like this minimization of the villain in everyone's story, because I feel like everybody has a different villain in their mind of who's creating the problems that they see existing in the world, and then a lot of people coming to terms with maybe the world is just the way that it is and nobody's a villain and everyone's just trying to survive, but also knowing that's not true. Those things went with more like mind-bending questions that were never answered. Just like these huge questions came up, and a lot about human nature, which I think is in a lot of the books that I'm reading lately, and I absolutely love that. I think that is such an interesting concept of just nature versus nurture, I guess. Is the world the way that it is? Are people good or bad innately? or is everybody a mix of the two? And that came up with multiple characters. Like, I, at the end of this, do not know at all what's going to happen in the third book and who I trust and if it matters, I guess is what I'm saying. I literally just finished this. I finished it and I turned on my camera and I'm sticking to my 4-star. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. That feels right. I think if I wasn't trying to read a certain amount of pages, I wouldn't have read this as fast. So forcing myself to read it did get me to read it. And it's the same as the first book, where the last quarter, I would say, is the most interesting portion of the book. But this one, I did have a lot of it. And I do like that the characters were already established and that we know them. It helped a lot with the reading of this book compared to the first one. But also, I'm not in a slump the way that I was when I started the first one. But I absolutely loved it. And now the third book is called The Atlas Complex. So I'm going to add that to my want to read list promptly. I'm going to, I think, watch YouTube for a little bit while I fill out my reading journal for this book. And then I am going to start another book today, I think. The brick is definitely helping. Having my phone bricked, so helpful. I had no desire to scroll, and if I wanted to, I would have to go into my garage and unbrick my phone, which I didn't want to. So there is going to be a third book in this video, even though tomorrow is the last day. I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it in this video, and I think it's going to be Heated Rivalry. I already know that. That is the next book I want to read. After 2 books that deep dive into human nature and kind of feel hard to read with these big questions to answer, I'm ready for a romance. So Heated Rivalry will be the next book that we read. I read a lot more yesterday and then once again didn't come to you. It's actually noon the next day. I read 138 pages of The Atlas Paradox yesterday, and then I read 79 pages of Heated Rivalry. 217 pages yesterday. Knocked it out of the park. Technically this is the last day of this, but I also think I will finish this book today, so that's okay. This is day 7, right? I started on Friday? Yeah, this is day 7. I then read this morning because my phone was bricked when I woke up. Usually I have a banana and I sit on the couch on TikTok for 20 to 30 minutes to let me digest it, and then I work out. That's how my morning goes. But my phone was bricked and I was not going to go to the garage and unbrick it just to use TikTok. So I read this morning before I worked out, and then I read on my lunch break. So now I'm 140 pages in because this is such a fast read. And also our clock died again. I just bought new batteries because this is the 3rd time. So if these new batteries don't work, because I don't know if the old ones were used in something else and I put them back in the drawer because I'm stupid. So I bought new batteries, and if this doesn't work, the clock is dead. Anyway, I'm saying I read past my normal time this morning because the clock was behind by like 10 minutes and I didn't realize. I'm now 140 pages in, and I guarantee I'm just gonna keep going. I think if you've seen the show or read the book, I don't really have to say much about this book. And I think just like the first one, Game Changer, I'm going to be comparing it to the TV show a lot, so just be prepared for that. They cast them well, so I'm just imagining them in this book, and so many things are similar that I'm just like reliving the TV show again. It's really fun. And then there are some things that are different, and I'm okay with that. I think I love having their mental insights. I already think this couple is way better than Game Changer, Kip and Scott. I'm so sorry. They were wonderful. They were wonderful. I don't think that the book was great though, and this one so far is way better than that one. And I love having Ilya specifically in her thoughts because he is so empathetic and caring and just like doesn't want people to know, but not even the way he talks to Shane, but like his teammates and everything and how he thinks about them, and the little things he notices about everybody are so great. And in the TV show I knew that that was the way he was with Shane, but that's how he is with everybody. Not necessarily tries to hide it, but also puts on this front of this macho guy that I think is not always true. And I'm really enjoying it. And then the only other thing I think I wanted to add is that the bathroom scene at the award show, when they do the speech together at the award show and then go into the bathroom, that is one of my favorite moments in the TV show. I think it says a lot about the state of the relationship at that time. And that is not directly adapted from the book. That's one of the first things where I'm like, oh, they made this a whole scene. They spent minutes on this scene, and it's like a paragraph in the book. And I was kind of sad to be missing that, so I'm glad that I have that from the show, because my favorite Shane line, top 3, is that boring must be genetic. And he goes, genetic. Wow. I love that part of the TV show. Oh my goodness, I'm just like being a weird fangirl now. But I love that part of the TV show, and it's not from the book, which is interesting. But everything else is pretty well adapted. We haven't met Svetlana yet, which I'm a little bit surprised about because I'm just about to start, part 3. So I'm a bit surprised about that because we've done the Olympics and she wasn't at that party. She hasn't visited him yet. He just kind of references people he knows, but she has not come up by name yet. So that's interesting to me because I expected her to be one of my favorite side characters in this book. I'm enjoying it. Easy read. I'm giggling. I love Shane. I knew I loved him from the TV show and I love him so much more from this. His inner turmoil is so sad and unfortunate. I'm gonna go back to work, do a little bit of work, and then I'm gonna just read until we walk the dogs. It is another beautiful day, so we're gonna take the dogs and then I'll cook dinner and then I will probably read all night and hopefully finish it. So I'll give you my final thoughts once I'm done and how many pages I read today. And I think even when I'm done this video, I'm going to try to just read 100 pages a day. It's not gonna happen every day. I am enjoying it. I think it's keeping me at a good pace. It's keeping me off my phone, though I do need to stop setting myself rules because I will follow them and then something else will crumble that I find important. I know that about myself. I did what I set out to do and I read the rest of this book yesterday. 258 pages yesterday. I just realized saying that I have not done the math yet for what my total pages in 7 days was. Maybe I should do that. I'll just put it on screen. And I absolutely loved this book and I filled out my reading journal right away and I gave it a 4, but I think I'm gonna up it to a 4.5, which feels crazy. I think it's because of the TV show that I liked the book so much, but it stood up to it. I think it matched wonderfully the things that were missing and that were different. I liked some of the extra things in here and I was sad that it was missing some of the things from the show, so it goes both ways. There's one conversation specifically, you know when they're, if you haven't watched it, maybe you don't know, you know when Ilya's back in Moscow and Shane is at home and they start a video call and then it fades to black and you're like, oh, we're missing phone sex. They actually have a wonderful conversation and you can see a shift in their relationship in that scene in the book, and I think it's so important and I'm actually so sad that it's not in the show. It gets very tender. I don't know, I absolutely loved it, but I have a lot of folded over pages because at the beginning, the first half, I didn't fold over anything. Up to page 180, there's nothing. And I was like, oh, this is not going to be a quotable book. I'm not going to tab anything. And it still might not be quotable, but there were so many emotional moments that I folded over because I liked them and things that made me laugh and just little cute things. And I think that they are one of the best book couples, hands down. I love them. I'm so excited to keep going just to get to, what's their other one? The Long Game. That is my update on Heated Rivalry. And then I went to bed. It was like 9 p.m. when I finished the book. It was perfect timing. That is my bedtime. That's 7 days of reading over 100 pages and it worked and I did it and I loved it. Thank you so much for coming and I will see you next week with another vlog. Bye.